I'm on a quest to find music and art. Supporting local talent is the place I start. Yeah, this is our culture, the place to be. Games, books, arts and crafts and jewelry. This the guardians of the geekery. 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 And now for today's episode of Guardians of the Geekery with your hosts, Matt, Carol, and Joey.
All right. Thanks for joining us once again for the Guardians of the Geekery special Geekery Market 2025 podcast recording. Joining us today is the Rob of Wonder. But just we really appreciate you coming on. And for folks who, for some reason, are just tuning in randomly to this podcast, hopefully they haven't missed the Geekery Market, which is or was on Saturday, November 15, 2025 at the Cabarrus Arena Events Center. And our charity of choice, of course, the Second Harvest, doing a lot of great work helping out people with the need food assistance in the community. So please bring a canned good or non-perishable food item, and that'll get you in the door. Over 30,000 square feet of geekery, crazy wonder. And speaking of wonder, I wonder artistry in games. Welcome, Rob. It's so good to have you on the podcast. And I see you've got lots of examples behind you, so you come prepared. We do appreciate that.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so this is your first time being at the Geekery Market.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about what it is that you create and make, and a little bit about how you got started.
Sure. So it's kind of a wide range of things. I came up with a questionnaire recently which asked what I do and what my job title was, and I had to stop for a moment because it gets a bit long if I put in artist, illustrator, singer, director, actor, and all of the other things that I do. And at first I wrote down storyteller because that kind of fits everything, and then I settled on bard because there just aren't enough bards anymore. So I call myself a bard. I do a lot. About half of my business is creating art illustrations for various magazines and supplements for tabletop role-playing games and commissions, stuff like that. I also am a professional games master, so I run games online pretty frequently. I think at my peak I was doing 7 campaigns a week, but that proved to eat into the creation time a bit too much, so I scaled back some. And I Wonder Artistry started up about 4 years ago. During that wonderful time we all remember of lockdown, I was working in healthcare and working from home, thankfully, and auditing doctor's notes. That was what I used to do. Which was actually a good job. I really enjoyed it, but I was doing mental health notes, and after a while and sitting at home on my own every day looking at mental health problems, it kind of started to get a bit wearing. And my wife came to me one day and said, I sense that you're not really enjoying what you're doing anymore. And I said, no, I'm really not. It's kind of mentally wearing on me. And she said, well, she's a dentist. She said, I've finished buying into my practice now. Would you like to find out what you want to do with your life? And I said, yeah. So I spent about a year like trying out different things that I wanted to do. I'd been involved in theater and film and stuff like that for years on and off. And so played around with some of that. And then I started doing some illustrations for a podcast called Dungeons and Randomness, who were putting out a world book at the time, just little things to send in to them, and kind of discovered that I had a bit of a knack for getting them out relatively fast and getting work that people wanted to publish. So I kind of started doing that as well. And that led into me doing just art entirely. I started doing art exhibitions around Winston-Salem, and people were enjoying my art and buying my art. So I thought, well, maybe there's a business in this. And then I started up I Wonder Artistry, kind of put everything into a ball to see what would work on what would stick. And I'm still kind of working through that. There are sometimes I'll try a project and it's not quite right, but I'd say about half the year now I'm going to different shows and selling products with my art and taking commissions. Pretty much working in that art area. The other half of the time is spent on my gaming stuff. So
Created
that's
several
cool.
games, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm running either Dungeons and Dragons or spin-offs of that. But I also, when you work in this field, you end up learning different systems. So I think there are 8 or 9 different systems now that I will run if necessary. And I've started writing modules for the various D20 systems. So I should have 2, I think, coming out next year when my publisher approves the final edits.
So I have to ask, do you find yourself more busy now than you did when you were actually working a standard job?
Yes. Yes. I don't think when I started this up that I'd really taken into account how many more hours there goes into running your own business, especially when you're doing creative stuff, because you've got to make time for that, but the business stuff does not wait. And I discovered fairly early on that the state of North Carolina is not very happy with you if you don't file your quarterly taxes on time.
No.
That's not one of those things where you can sit and go, oh, I'll do that in a month from now. No, it has to be done right then, no matter what else happens. So it was a learning curve. It still is.
Yeah, I worked for myself for a number of years. I had the worst boss ever, and I just said, "Forget this. I'm not working for you ever again," and quit. But then I still had to go home to myself every night. So
No escape. It does have its
yeah.
upsides, though. I did get to claim that playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the best part of 5 weeks doing very little else was actually research for work. So
Well, there you go.
There you go. That it's rare that you can claim something like that. So take it while you can.
Yeah, that's like Carol and I going to cons and spending money in the dealer's room. We're really researching who we
Yeah,
want
You're
to
researching
market
crafters.
research.
Absolutely.
It all works out. It all works out. So, and then, maybe I shouldn't ask this on air, but how did you find out about the Geekery Market? So,
I actually, the first time I came across it, I was just researching different arts and crafts and fairs like that across North Carolina, and that one kind of, the Geekery Market jumps out at me because that's totally in my field. And it was about this time in 2023, so it was a little late for me to apply for the 2024 market, but I put it straight into my calendar for, this is when the applications start for 2025. And then I'd done a couple of similar markets at like conventions. I'd been at Playthrough convention down in Raleigh a couple of times, and I've done the Geeksboro market in Greensboro a couple of times. They've always been really successful for me. So this year's been kind of my first year testing out different markets around, and some of them have been very successful. Some of them have been not so good. Just not they're just not a fit for me. There's very few people coming to like farmers markets looking to buy art a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So if I'll go along and see, oh, this isn't that kind of market, so I brace myself for a slow day.
Well, this is definitely your type of market.
Yeah. And then actually was it last week? Yes. The Concord International Festival was my first time down in the Cabarrus area, and it was my most successful day ever. So I'm really looking forward to the Geekery Market now.
Nice.
That's nice. We can,
and we really love the space. We love the space. It's a little, it's north of Charlotte, so a lot of events that are in Charlotte proper, you have to struggle with parking. It's limited visibility and stuff like that. And the fact that we have 30,000 square feet, we can have over 80 different vendors and not feel like overwhelming, because we are narrow spicy and we like our space. And so we're able to still offer the wide aisles and stuff like that. And then the other part that I think works well for us is it's not just selling. We've got different areas and stations where people can go and listen to music or, play with Legos or make a button or whatever, so that they can kind of rest and take a break between all the choices.
Mhm.
Um,
And
because
it did occur to me to apply for the performer part of it too, because I perform and sing, but I wasn't sure at that time that I was going to have any help with me that day. So I was like, don't think I'll be able to leave my booth to do that. Maybe
well,
next
now
year
you
if I
get
can
to
secure someone.
experience it and figure out if that's something you want to do or not. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely makes it an interesting opportunity. But so tell us about some of the RPG games you have. You have a couple
Sure,
coming
yeah.
out and a couple that you currently have published, right? So
So yeah, I had uh, my first module published 2020, I believe it was. In It was a Kickstarter for the first world book that the Dungeons and Randomness podcast put out, The Adventurer's Guide to Theria, Volume One. And there was a companion book in the Kickstarter of that with the adventures in it. And I was working with them on that as a copy editor and a proofreader, which is another service that my business offers. And I was working on a module at the time based on I'd been reading Devil in the Bright City about H. Holmes and the World Fair in Chicago back in the
Ooh.
day. So I had that kind of serial killer thing in the murder castle that he built up there in my mind. So I wrote an entire module based around that, and in fact took directly some of the traps that he built into his castle and put them in the adventure. And they published that one. It was pretty well received. I learned a lot, primarily at that time because the new material hadn't come out yet. How really difficult it was to construct encounters given the D&D rules at the time, which the challenge ratings were problematic. I think anyone that has dungeon mastered for D&D 5e up until the new release would agree that after you got past level 5, they don't really work, mathematically or otherwise. But I learned a lot with that. I've got a revised version of that one coming out, I think, in 2027, actually, that fixes a lot of it. And that one's called Devil in the Bright City, because in the DNR podcast, one of the major cities is called Brightport. And so that was kind of my first foray into writing that material, although I have been creating my own setting for a number of years and writing as a DM, never like formally done it as a module. So I got contacted then by somebody who wanted to commission a personal module for their group based on what they'd read in mine. And that was the start of what's going to be my first one coming out next year. It's called The Face Square Slayer, which I seem to be attracted to murder mysteries in tabletop role
It
playing.
sounds like.
This one, I don't know what that says about my mental state, but this one is another murder mystery, and it's based around a quiet area where people who have been hired to come in and clean up a contaminated area nearby are being picked off one by one, and the party has to kind of solve who it is that is doing that out of the local suspects before they start getting targeted themselves. So that one's pretty much ready to go, apart from some illustrations. And since we're limited budget, I'm doing most of the illustrations myself. So I have to give myself a timetable for that. So that's to go next year. And then about 6 months after that, I'll be looking to publish my second one, which is called Peril of the Leaping Stag. And that one is based around a tavern that has been sort of like swallowed by the nearby forest in very rapid fashion, and the party are sent to explore what's going on there and see why nature has sort of turned on the surrounding area. So those two will be, I think, initially going on Drive Through RPG, and then we'll probably be looking to run a Kickstarter to get physical copies of them published by hopefully the end of 2026.
Wow, you're not busy at all,
Hey,
Rob.
yeah, your
No,
daily planner must be just chock
I try
full.
and stay like relatively calm. I don't need to work 18-hour days ever.
Oh my gosh, you're true.
It's actually
Renaissance
funny because I
man.
do I do enjoy what I do so much. It doesn't feel like work so much of the time, which is why
That's
I end up
always
working so much. But
that is the trick. That is
then
the
my
trick.
family are
Finding
like, "Where
something.
are you?"
Yeah, we've got a friend who runs a game bar here, Zach, and talked to him, several times, but a couple different podcasts. One of them on this one, but he was just telling, he used to be in IT and he had to work, he thought all these crazy hours. And then as soon as he opened the game bar, he said it was nonstop, but it was my thing.
Yeah.
It's my thing. And everybody, I've got people now that depend on me.
Yeah.
And he just was like, it's so much fun. He goes, I'm always exhausted, but he goes, I'm having much more fun. And so it's just,
it's a good kind of
strange that
exhaustion.
works. Yeah,
And it is,
exactly.
it's really been great because I mean, basically my entire life I've been attracted to storytelling. My first ever job when I was in college was as I would dress up as a Viking at a local museum and tell legends to the guests, and that's always been kind of my thing. The first time I appeared on stage, I think I was 9 years old, and I just got the bug and never turned away from that kind of area.
So that is awesome.
Sellers in costumes then?
Mm-hmm.
Not putting any pressure on you.
Be in
costume, be in costume, be in costume.
Semi-costuming, because I discovered early on that being in full costume, it kind of depended on the event. Like last week, we were outdoors and wearing my kilt because it was the international festival was fine for the first like hour or two, but then it started to heat up and I wished that I hadn't.
Yeah.
But in an air-conditioned building, you never know. I have
just indoors. But yeah,
I usually will bring this along with me just to attract some attention. So
yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I can get that to stand up. And then my wife bought me this really amazing like game show host jacket with dice over it, so I sometimes wear that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do find that the sellers that get into character, or just, I think of like Bill Tracy from Space Wizards or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They have certain uniforms that they wear. And that way people are like, hey, he's here, and so, or she's here, I've seen them before, but also it lets people know that you are part of the event as opposed to, random person walking down the aisle.
Yeah, I think so, because like, Bill, you can pick him out of a crowd really easily, and I always have a look for him. I've bought a number of his products over the years, and always enjoy saying hi. And I don't know if it's as much of a uniform, but I can always pick out the full staff books stall from the t-shirts that Tom's wearing.
T-shirts, yes.
So yeah. I think it's a good idea. Not only does it get you noticed, so I try and wear one of 2 or 3 different common outfits so that people recognize me, but anything that will kind of make you stand out and have people want to, like the jacket I like because people come over and they're always like, I like your jacket, which in most spaces they'd probably walk around me if I was wearing that jacket out at a bar or something. At vendor events, it tends to be a talking point. And it's so easy, I think, these days, even if you're a business person, a lot of these can get to be long days, and you end up sitting down and picking up your phone, and then you look up 10 minutes later and work out that 3 customers have passed by while you were checking your email. So that's something you have to be kind of careful of, because it's an easy thing to do, especially in like a 6, 7, 8 hour show or something like that. And engaging is one of the reasons I do this. I want to meet people and hear their stories as much as tell mine.
Yeah, I think there's that fine line for people who work a booth. It's, know your strengths. If you're the artist or the artisan, if you're not a booth person, find somebody who's a booth person. Right?
I'm not a booth person.
Carol is not a booth person. I'm a booth person, but I don't always know everything. So Carol's my what anime is that, so that I know what to say.
I'm the encyclopedia and sometimes the artist, but
she's my Google. She's my geek Google. But it's like kind of knowing that, and I think being approachable without being scary, because we've all encountered those people at the mall or at a convention that are like, come over here, let me show you our phone, and we're like, no, it's one of the things I love the most about having a motorized mobility vehicle. Whether it be my scooter or my chair, I can just push the button and go into rabbit mode and be like, sorry, gotta go, But,
sorry, it's stuck.
Sorry, can't stop.
Can't stop.
but having something, whether it be, a lot of times I'll wear, a crazy headpiece or, wear something so that people are like, oh, I like this, and
Yeah.
not being scared of you, and then, making it easier for them to come over and learn about it. Because people do
Right.
want to learn about it. They just don't want to get trapped, right? Like
Yeah.
they want to make sure it's something they can afford. It's something that they are interested in, and something that's not going to be, hey, we're going to sign you up for a 3-year contract kind of deal. But I think that's one of the things that helps when you've got a little bit of an outfit. Plus, it puts you in that mindset, right? Like
It does.
if I'm wearing a headband with butterflies or something all over it, I'm going to act different than if I'm just wearing my street clothes.
Oh, and I
at the
totally agree
Target or
with
something.
that because
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an introvert, really. But if when I put on a costume and can put on a different persona, like when I'm not being Rob Taylor, when I'm being the Rob of Wonder, I'm a lot more outgoing.
And then when you take
Indeed.
it off, you're able to,
To just leave it
disconnect and
aside.
be
Just
like,
Yeah,
leave it.
yeah,
okay,
absolutely. Need
Rob
that
of
time.
Wonder's gone. Now here's good old RT. We're just here over here. So yeah, I definitely think it makes a difference. Well, do you have some of your artwork that I know I see
I
some of it
do,
behind you, but
yes.
show us some of the pieces that
So
you might have with you. So
this one I'll bring a bit closer because it actually sort of, and these actually I do sell these posters themselves, but it sort of shows, wait, if I can try and avoid the reflection here, it shows 12 pieces of my Scottish artwork and
Oh,
where in
wow.
Scotland those are, with the legend of it. So while I sell these posters, each of these are available individually in different things, and most of them, the castles, especially, people might recognize from film and TV over the years. Doon Castle up at the top here has appeared in Outlander because, of course, it has. Every castle in
Yeah.
Scotland has at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
But it was also this was what was Winterfell in Game of Thrones,
Oh, cool.
and also the Castle Anthrax in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So a lot of these castles have been. I believe this one here, which is Blackness Castle, was. I'm not so much up on Outlander, but somebody told me that that was the location for the infamous whipping scene in Outlander.
Oh,
So
oh.
there's that one. And then down at the bottom here, Aelin Donnan Castle, and my cat is coming to visit.
Mine's been
Just about everything
mine's been here the whole
from
time. So
Highlander
yeah.
to the not the Marvel Avengers, the one with Sean Connery in a teddy bear outfit from years ago. That probably the old
The bad
British
one.
Avengers movie adaptation. And I have those pieces of art available in different things. I have these blank note cards, which I sell with various different of the castles on them that are available individually and as packs. So
Oh, those are
this
cool.
one here sold very well actually at the International Festival last week. It's Dunvegan Castle, where um, I don't know if you know the legend of the fairy flag, but this is the home
Yeah.
of Clan MacLeod, and legend has it that the fairies gifted them a flag back in the 13th, 14th century, which they could wave above the castle 3 times before the fairies would reclaim it. And if they needed help, the fairies would help them out. And legend says they've done it twice. And now it hangs behind thick glass in the fireplace of the Great Hall of Dunvegan Castle in Skye. It's one of my favourite stories, one of the ones I tell quite a lot in a lot more detail than that. And then I've got these pieces of art that are North Carolina landmarks that I'm working on a series of. So this is
Ooh.
Ranolda House in Winston-Salem with fairy tale creatures attached. This one is actually First Baptist Church in downtown Winston-Salem with a dragon atop it. And if I had it on one of these mugs here, the old
Oh,
Shell
that's cool.
station in again in Winston-Salem, because that's where I'm from. I'm gonna expand out to the rest of the state at some point soon. Done as sort of like Venus being born from the waves at the old Shell station. So that's a series I'm working on. The current one in that series that I'm working on is actually Lake Norman with a kraken rising from the water. So that will hopefully be ready next
I
year.
love that right there. Yeah.
So those are a number of things that these are all on different. I have normal mugs. I've got this travel mug, which Raise this up here. Nope, not getting it. There we go. So this one was designed for Pride this year. My kids had suggested it, and it's a barbarian with my pronouns are
Oh,
slay
cool.
slash them. And then my kids also suggested that I do some magic potions artwork for them. My daughter's trans, and so I did the first one for her, which is this potion of gender euphoria.
Oh,
And
Whoa.
and each one of these has a little label on it with instructions, and they are compatible with 5e rules. So although the situations are fairly specific, they will all work in a D&D game. I have these in
ooh.
coasters and stickers and t-shirts. Don't have a t-shirt next to me right now, but I didn't know quite how many to order for Pride this year, so I kind of overcompensated, and thankfully t-shirts don't expire or go bad very quickly because I think
Yes.
I've got 3 years worth of inventory for that at this point.
It
And
happens.
then I do celebrity kind of reimaginings, I guess it would be, of them as D&D characters. So this is Taylor
Go.
the Swift,
Taylor
the half
Swift.
elven bard.
That's kind of cool.
And I've also got another one because that I did that one for my niece, who is a huge Swiftie. And then my nephew was like, "Well, I would like one," and he's a huge soccer fan. So I now have Lionel the Messi, who is a halfling assassin. And so I take commissions of those. If anyone has a favorite celebrity, I'm more than happy to do them as that kind of character. Let's see, what else do I have
You what
here?
Wanda would want Donny Osmond to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely could do that. All right, Minerva.
But our
Let's
the
say hello
third
and
part
then
of
move
the
on.
Merry Mayhem is obsessed with Donny Osmond. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, she is. Yeah.
I love it.
So
Has
I
been for a
just
very long time. So
yeah. Rob, I
and
saw on your
last
website
week
too,
actually,
you do animals too.
yes,
You
I
do
do, and I've got one in the
really good
background
animals.
here.
Yeah.
So a
Oh
lot of
wow.
my artwork is anthropomorphic animals as adventurers.
Oh.
Um, so there's that. I have also done the spider creature, which proved surprisingly popular. I was a bit worried about that one because people were like, I was always like,
Ooh.
people are scared of spiders, but somehow when you humanize them, it seems to work. I guess that's why Spider-Man is so popular.
yes.
Um, then last week I just released this series of Christmas ornaments, so they're double-sided,
Oh.
and these are playing off the I Wonder thing again. These are my iconic Scotland ornaments.
Oh,
Oh.
So
cool.
they'll be available on at the market as well.
Those should do really well, I would think.
I hope
Yeah.
so. I hope so.
That's some
They're really
awesome
nice.
stuff.
They're very good quality. They're ceramic, but they don't break easily, which is a boon. And then I also have like little things like stickers. Like I'll just do these for fun sometimes. So this is actually my own puppy, but if I get that there, you can see it's
Oh.
Terminator puppy. I'll be Bark.
Cute. Cute and deadly.
But yeah, all of
That's
that kind of stuff
awesome.
is available. I'll have art prints. I'll have original canvases available. Um, and again, I take commissions. I'm happy to talk to you about running games. I do games as party events and as corporate training events, stuff like that. So all of that information will be available, and I'll have my ornaments and artwork for sale at the market. Yeah.
that is awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us today to get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome.
And if people wanted to go in advance to find you online before they come to the market, we always encourage them to maybe do some online ordering so that way they've already paid for it. And then any
Yes.
money in their
Mhm.
pocket, it's like picking up a free gift because you already paid for it, right? So
That's right.
out of sight, out of mind. We call it market math around here, but where can they find your stuff?
So my website is iwonderartistry.com. That's EYE, wonderartistry.com. And yeah, most of those products are up on my web store as we speak. Some still being added. The new ornaments are not quite up there yet. But it has a virtual gallery there and a listing of what games I have spots in available for online play right now, and other events coming up. I'm doing a concert of Scottish songs in Winston-Salem on the 7th of November, which is currently something I'm in rehearsal for. So any appearances I'm making like that are listed on the website as well, and all of my collaborations with other people, audiobooks on Audible, stuff like that. So.
Sweet.
Amazing. Well,
I'm just
thank
looking
you
through your
again.
art right here. Yes, thank you so much. Your art is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
we are
it.
so excited to have you this year. We look forward to meeting you in person in a couple weeks.
Yes.
And make sure you go to iwonderartistry.com. We will have the link in our show notes. So make sure to check it out. And Rob, thank you. We will
Thank you
see
so much.
soon.
I look forward to meeting you in person soon.
Yes, thank you.
That was an episode of Guardians of the Geekery. Thank you for listening. Check us out at guardiansofthegeekery.com and stay tuned for more content.